Greetings! What is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The Fog of War is on, and the Magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with a live 1 versus 1 replay, fresh from the top of the ladder, featuring another game with many viewers. So I don't know if there's some sort of event on, or if these are two particularly popular players for whatever reason, or what's going on. But we're going to have, on Faymonville Approach, spawning in the north, playing as the Wehrmacht forces. It's going to be Mr. Nobody character, YouTube. So I can only assume that this person has some sort of YouTube presence that they may or may not be promoting here. And spawning in the south as the American forces, it's going to be Pineapple the Fruit Dude. So that is quite the charismatic name. I'm just going to hand that to him. He's kind of onto a winner there. I like it. I like what I see. Both of these players, as far as I know, newcomers to the channel. Can't remember casting them before. Of course, they could be old hands playing under new tags, but I reckon that these are two newcomers to the channel, but they were the top-rated game on the live lobby, and there were quite a few people observing, so I am keen to see what's gonna happen in this game. Let's take a look at the commanders here, because that may shed some light on where this game's going to go. Looks like we've got Spearhead Doctrine, personal old-school favourite of mine. We've got Dude with Pipe, and we've got Blitzkrieg Doctrine. Lightning War Doctrine! God damn it! I always get those two confused. It is somewhat sort of, I don't know, disingenuous that there's a commander called Blitzkrieg Doctrine and there's a commander called Lightning War Doctrine, seeing as how those essentially are the same thing, just in different languages. So anyway, and Dude with Pipe, what is that, German Infantry Doctrine? No, I don't think it is. Assault Support Doctrine, there we go. So let's take a look over this guy. So this is a Tiger Tank commander who gets Frag Bomb, Strafing Run, the Cargo Truck, and the Artillery Field Officer. Okay, so brings a lot of interesting stuff to the table there, actually. You know what, I sort of hope that we see this commander. This is a great map for Tiger Tanks. Well, when was there not a good map for Tiger Tanks? But Tiger Tanks are a great unit. This is a good map for a Tiger Tank because it's quite small, so that kind of helps out with the low mobility of the Tiger Tank, and it also means that the Tiger Tank is basically going to be present in every meaningful fight that it needs to be in, because, I mean, with a map this small, when you factor in the range of the Tiger Tank, it's just going to be able to access any fight that it wants to be in pretty rapidly. Whoops. Sorry, just adjusting the volume there. Pineapple Fruit Dude is running with, yikes. Well, it's Greyhound Dude. No, it's not. Okay, I just don't know American commanders at all. So we've got Mechanized Company, we've got, that's Airborne Dude, isn't it? Airborne Company, and that is Tank Tactics, Armored Tactics Dude, Tactical Support Dude. Okay, totally wrong. It's the Calliope Commander! Oh my goodness, no wonder I didn't recognize this guy. I seriously reckon this is a little bit of an underrated commander. I don't know what state Calliopes are in these days. Like, are they strong? Are they bad? I really don't know what the community balance team has done to or with the Calliope. But assuming it's not, like, total pants, and I have a hard time believing it's total pants, then it's quite an exciting unit. P-47 Strafing Run, totally valid and interesting. The Recon Run, very nice. Also dovetails nicely with the Calliope. You get the 1919 Brute LMG gun, which is just absolutely heinous times, particularly against Wehrmacht, because of their small and fragile squads. And the M5 half-track transport, just a useful thing to have on a button. So yeah, I sort of hope that we see that against the Assault Support Doctrine. That would be my favourite game. Now, let's turn our attention to this game. We've already got some slightly left-field stuff coming out of our American player. Rifleman, Lieutenant Tech, nothing to write home about, but we do have an early mortar squad, which is a little adaptation, a little innovation, a little flair. This is not typical. We don't always see American players doing this. Yeah! Tactical Support Company. All right, we're halfway there. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. All right, yeah, and a mortar, I mean, again, for all the reasons that I said that the Tiger Tank was good, pretty much the mortar squad is also good. I mean, look, he's positioned it here. That's going to be covering a ton of relevant area. Because the map is relatively small, this mortar squad is likely to be firing pretty much the whole game. The American mortar squads have fairly ferocious accuracy, rate of fire, and very relevant veterancy. So, buying it at this early time point is going to enable it to vet up nicely, and as long as he looks after it well, that is a mortar squad that I can see flourishing in this game. Obviously, with mortar squads, it does come down to some extent to the actual, look how accurate these things are, to the actual nature of the shots. You know, sometimes if you roll a few hits on the first few shots, then you get your veterancy a little bit quicker, and that veterancy, you know, makes the unit way more effective, and then you get to the top of your veterancy much quicker because you've got some lucky hits early on. It kind of snowballs. Well, sometimes you miss your first few shots and you just don't get that veterancy for quite some time, and, you know, the unit just kind of feels like a bit of a potato. Oh, some Grenadiers have actually found their way through the lines here. They are putting some fire into this mortar squad. Yanks are being shot by KARs, and there we go. Finally, some riflemen going to come forward to cover them. Actually, as well, these guys so close to the American base that they can just reinforce. So they're just going to reposition for a second here and start thunking out shells once again. Looks like early field control here going to be going to the American player. Looks like Mr. Nobody's going to go ahead and choose Spearhead Doctrine, so this is still a cool commander. Okay, it's not Assault Support Doctrine, but you know, if I could have either Assault Support or Tactical Support in this game, I would definitely choose the Calliope commander. I think it's just more interesting, and it's just a commander that I haven't cast for an incredibly long time, and I'm very curious to see how it manifests in-game. So, as I was just saying, yeah, early field control, as we're kind of used to seeing, it is pretty typical for US versus Vermax, that US, quite dominant early on. 5-man rifleman squads are just absolutely... They're a handful for Grenadier squads to deal with. Till the Grenadier squads start getting some support from MG42s and LMG42s and more sophisticated Axis units, the riflemen just kind of win. They are very scary. American officers really feed into that as well. Speaking of which, we now have a captain entering the field, so that's the kind of tech that we're seeing here. Oh, there's a grenade going down. Okay, I think a rifle grenade forcing these riflemen to move out there, or fall back, I should say. And we've got Panzer Grenadiers being added into the mix. I'm going to check the Axis tech here momentarily, but the fighting is thick and fast. MG42 just staying around this key position on the map, actually bravely leaving the building here. Going to catch the Lieutenant under arc, and that is nice to do. Fighting in the south here looks like Pioneers insufficient to hold, but there's the second MG42 and a nice structure here, forcing back American infantry. And this is what I mean. I think I really like Mr. Nobody's double MG42 style, particularly against US, particularly on this map. This is one of those maps where, because it's quite wide but quite short, machine guns can really flourish, because if they have to fall back, they're not off the line for too long. It's not the end of it's not the end of the world to have to fall back your MG42. It'll be back shooting sort of in 30 seconds or so, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending. And there are a number of really useful hardpoints on this map that amplify machine guns' effectiveness. This one here and this one here we've already seen being used. That's sort of demonstrating that with the Axis player here. Panzer Grenadiers on the front, and looks like we're going to have a mortar half-track coming out nice and early. So already these two players choosing some interesting, fairly atypical tech, but stuff that I really like. The mortar half-track, another unit that's very dear to my heart. It's accurate, it fires fast, and it actually just doesn't have most of the weaknesses you associate with a mortar squad. It doesn't have a setup time, doesn't have a teardown time. No, it can't shoot while it's moving, but if it becomes threatened, it can just scurry away very quickly. And it's especially potent on Spearhead Doctrine because you have the tactical Panzer smoke. So if it does get caught out, you can always pop that smoke and scurry it back. It's actually quite a difficult unit to actually kill. It is very fragile. If the Axis player stops paying attention for a couple of minutes, or I mean, well, for a couple of seconds even, then yeah, you can lose that thing to an AT gun. But you know, it shouldn't be exposed to an AT gun. This is a unit that can lurk out of range of those units and still be striking for good force. So yeah, so about what do we got here? 20 or 19 ticket lead for the American player, nothing to write home about. But if we crack the tack, we can see the Axis units right now stretched, pushed back to base, most of them just now having to heal and reinforce back at base. And the American forces are going to secure the midline of the map. So giving a good account of himself in the early stages of the game is Mr. Nobody. But the American forces just in this stage of the game usually are dominant, and that's what we're seeing. So he's going to hang on for now. Crucially, has some Pioneers and in the east of the map grabbing fuel, and also going to be preventing the triple cap. So that is basically the bare minimum that Axis, or particularly Vermax, needs to do in the early game. Just try and hold on to one fuel, try and hold on to one victory point, and survive till your Tiger plan can come through. That is, you know, you're never gonna, or it's a very rare game when Vermac forces are able to, like, seriously duff up US forces in the early game. Just ain't gonna happen. So we've got 1919s starting to pop up now on the Lieutenant. I imagine other squads will be grabbing them shortly. Weapon racks must have finished though, because we've got the captain here with BAR. So I'll be honest with you, somebody who knows the game better, I would really appreciate a little rundown of just exactly what the relative sort of pros and cons of the BAR versus the 1919 LMG are. In my head, the 1919 LMG functions a bit more like the LMG42, better if you're firing from stationary, whereas the BAR is more of an assault-oriented weapon, with the DPS ramping up the closer you get to the target, and it's better at firing on the move. That is my understanding, but it's been a long time since I've looked at the details, so I would appreciate anyone with better game knowledge coming to the rescue on that one in the comments. That would be really appreciated. M5 quad half-track here is going to be here. AA mount has finished on that one, so that's going to be quite the mobile bruiser, and to be fair, actually, that's probably quite a good answer to this mortar half-track. The AA half-track can fire on the move, that quad mount will tear apart the mortar half-track relatively rapidly. Doesn't take a lot to go wrong for this half-track to pick off the mortar half-track, so I like the choice. That's very nice. Of course, it can't reinforce when you put the quad mount on it, but, you know, the quad mount is pretty much makes up for that, so that's pretty cool. Here we go. Okay, yeah, see, he catches the mortar half-track. You've got... Oh, he's not got the munitions for Panzer... Oh, he does, sorry. He's already popped it. There we go. And that, I mean... I don't know if that would have been a kill without the Panzer smoke, but it was going to be damn close. The Panzer tac smoke there just... Panzer tac smoke saves lives, man. Saves lives. Just constant fighting all over the map, through center, west, and east. Really kind of pushing my, like, observation and caster skills here, so that's nice, actually, in a way. No player getting, like, a massive upper hand, though, which is really nice. This looks like a game that's going to develop really nicely into a very interesting mid-game with awesome late-game potential. We'll just have to see how it goes. Neither player, as far as I can tell, making any big errors or losing any squads through inattention or anything like that. These look like two well-suited, well-skilled players. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Let's quickly check the tech for the Axis player. Okay, so, well, we've got Battle Phase 2. Support Armor Core has finished, so... He must have built that with a plan to build a unit from that, so expect to see one of the units from that coming out. Honestly, I mean, it could be any of them. How much fuel have we got? 76 right now, so a Stug would be fine right now. It kind of complements the mortar half-track. It would deal really well with this M5 half-track, and it's a cheap option as well. A Panzer IV is just always going to be good, and actually Panzer IVs are quite nasty against American forces, because it really does force them to go for a Sherman or... I mean, Panzer IV is just really nice against American forces because, I don't know, they just always seem really nice against American forces. I'm going to have to think a little bit more about that. I have a feeling that they're particularly effective there, but I'm having difficulty putting it into words. Major tech is finished. So the American player now with 25 fuel and quite slow fuel income, actually. Going to secure a fuel point here momentarily, but... Mr. Nobody doing really well. This MG42 nastily caught out 2 stars of veterancy on that. He's bravely not pressing retreat. Wow, that was a bit late. He should lose that, and he will. All right, so that's the first meaningful squad wipe. It is going to be a Stug. Mr. Nobody. I like it. Oh, no, he's going to lose these Grenadiers as well. That's a brutal loss. Oh, dearie me. All right, okay, that's the first significant blow that I've seen dealt this game. Up until now, both players have been bobbing and weaving, parrying, trading blows. But Pinepple there finds an opening, and I think that's safe to say he has drawn blood there. Mr. Nobody hurting now. Losing core infantry is really nasty. Now, if he's lucky, yeah, so he's able to reman the MG42. Wait, sorry. Wait, where is that MG42? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, oh, insult to injury. It gets even worser. So, okay, the American forces did steal the MG42. Yikes, that's turbo bad. Okay, well... Mr. Nobody now has a couple of rough minutes ahead of him where he's going to find himself outnumbered and significantly outgunned. He cancels the Stug in response to this. Interesting. Let's just quickly check the tech. Okay, I thought he was going to, like, bravely default and go to Battle Phase 3, which would have been, like, such a double down. Not recommended, though. That is intensely risky. So, okay, yeah, he's not going to be doing that, which I agree with. But he is going to opt to spend his fuel in a slightly different manner. I don't know if he's decided that a Panzer IV is going to serve him better. I mean, it's interesting, because he could kind of... These buttons are all clickable right now. He could put any support armor core unit onto the queue that he wants right now. But opting not to spend that fuel. So... But not getting Battle Phase 3 either. So I'm inclined to believe that he's saving for Battle Phase 3 and Tiger Tech, or to buy a Tiger Tank. But since we're not at that stage in the game, he's leaving himself the flexibility of not immediately spending the fuel, something that all good players usually do. So I guess what he's doing is just he's gonna see if he can hack it without a fuel unit, and then try and get a Tiger. But he's leaving himself the option of being able to go, holy shit, I'm gonna lose, and get a Panzer IV. Okay, but this half-track is just like... I mean, I know he's got Panzer Shrek, Panzergrens, but this half-track is just doing work. It's terrifying out here for the Axis forces. 50 cals, 1919s, quad half-tracks. This is brutal stuff. Oh my god. Yikes, Mr. Nobody. It is insane that he's not losing more units. I've got to be real. 1 star of veterancy up on the mortar half-track now. 2 kills only. That's not been doing so great. 1 kill on the American half-track. Sorry, the American mortar squad. So safe to say these mortars not having the best of games, but it does come down to the odds and the dice rolls with mortar squads. That's what we need. Hits like that vet up mortars real quick. And even though they don't have very many kills, to get to this amount of veterancy, they must have inflicted a lot of damage. So it's not all about that kill number. Wow, yeah, we're getting hits now with that mortar half-track. Just as I say that, the mortar half-track crew perk up a bit. Oh, dear. Oh, incendiary mortar round going to come down. Nice. That's actually going to force this MG back. So getting some value out of the incendiary ability provided by the mortar half-track there is nice. American forces claiming west. This has just been a constant, intense battle here. The guns have been blazing consistently, like, throughout the whole game. This is just nuts. This is the kind of games that you often get on Faymonville, but what often happens is that one player becomes the underdog so soon that, like, you get these windows of time where they just have to fall back and they actually just can't really take a fight, and everything goes quiet whilst the other player just caps the map. But that's not happened here. Nobody is hanging on so well, given that they lost some squads in a pretty unfortunate way. They have tech support. They have repurchased the second MG42, which I honestly really like. I think if you're going to have a chance against American infantry with 1919 LMGs and VARs, you really do need the 2 MGs to help control them. And it is a bitter pill to swallow, having to spend another 240 manpower on a third MG42 to replace your second one, but yeah, I think you've got to do it. 3 stars on this half-track now. So what does it get? Overdrive, improve mobility, improve sighting. Okay, so that is actually... there are a lot more deadly things you can get through veterancy, so actually that is not the super killiest. It's not, like, significantly more dangerous than a 1-star or 0-star one, but it is more dangerous. The mobility just makes it such a monster. That's the problem. Oh my god, look how quickly it does damage at these sort of ranges as well. It's like, oh my goodness me. And where are the Panzerschreck? Oh, here they are. The Panzerschreck Panzergrens are in position, but look at them using this line of sight blocker so well. Going to try and take some shots over the wall. Rolling a double miss. Feeling a little bit of sympathy for Mr. Nobody here, who is playing his heart out but just not being rewarded, and he's soon going to be facing a Sherman tank. And he just doesn't have the AT. He needs a pack gun, which luckily he does actually have the manpower for. Did Battle Phase 3 occur? Okay, Battle Phase 3 occurred. We are on the Tiger plan. Mr. Nobody here, bravely defaulting. For those of you who don't know, Bravely Default is a Japanese tactical RPG where one of the options you can do on your turn is what's called Bravely Default, where you do nothing on your turn in exchange for having a much more powerful move in a subsequent turn. So it's like, it's a risk, hence the term Bravely Default, because you bravely do nothing. And that is what Mr. Nobody has done here, is bravely defaulted in order to have access to a Tiger tank, and that will, I imagine, help him stabilize. And given that this is his plan, given that he's basically 1 command point away from getting Tiger tech, and he basically has Tiger fuel, yeah, he basically does have Tiger fuel. He will by the time he can take a Tiger. Let's crack the tack. This could look a lot worse, based on the fact he's lost some squads, he's not spent his fuel, he's up against that half-track, he's up against this tank. I think Mr. Nobody, once this Tiger comes out, if he can hold off substantial losses over the next minute or two, I think he's going to be okay. I think he needs to buy a pack gun. I really think he needs to buy a pack gun in order to help him get to that Tiger. But I could be wrong. He's getting very close to this Tiger. So maybe he's going to be okay. Somehow he is maintaining control over a fuel point, although he's been pushed off all the VPs now. So this is starting to look a bit dicey. The MG is up and ready. So, okay. Wow, the American player is definitely getting ready for Axis fuel units. We got anti-tank guns popping up into the roster. Jeez. Oh man, it's looking so messy here. He just doesn't have enough anti-tank. Like, two Panzerschrecks on 1 squad is... it's not enough. He's so close to Tiger tank. He even has Tiger money. Mr. Nobody just managing his resources so well. Jesus, this thing suppresses? I mean, of course it does. Of course it does. But it just looks so nasty. These Grenadiers just desperately clinging onto this victory point. Are they going to get the decap before they get pinned? He's going to fall them back before. Okay. Yeah, yeah, he had to fall them back. Jesus, he's still going to lose them because they're falling back right past this thing. Oh, okay, he gets away. That is some expert fullback timing. It looked early to me, but Mr. Nobody was aware of the risks. Finally finding a couple of good Shrek hits and getting the 3rd star of veterancy onto his elite now anti-tank hunting squad. This Sherman will be forced off the line here for a second, and the Tigre tank has arrived. El Tigre. Alright, okay, this kind of just becomes something of a fair fight. Mr. Nobody's brave default here is paying off, and a Tiger tank, I mean, this is desperate. Look how far up the American line has pushed. He needs to break this lock. He's under a triple cap. He's trailing by over 200 tickets, 240 to be exact. And this is a terrible place to be. But this is what we often see Wehrmacht players do. So it all comes down to this Tiger tank. Can he hold? Now, so far from what I've seen of Mr. Nobody is excellent judgment, good multitasking, and fine risk assessment. So I would be amazed if he does anything rash with this Tiger, like pushing it too far unsupported into fog of war and getting hit by mines or losing it, getting hit by AT grenades and getting it picked down by, you know, anti-tank guns and stuff like that. I would be surprised to see that. But, you know, these things do happen. Even to the best of players, this MG42 needs to GTFO! Gets out of that building just before it comes down. Very nice. Tiger tank here, getting some much-needed veterancy by taking shots into this Sherman. Being checked to some extent by this AT gun. Tungsten rounds gets used there, so that should force the Tiger back for now. Did you know that tungsten is pretty much the heaviest metal per volume? Like, that's why it's so useful in munitions, because it represents the most kinetic energy that you can pack into the equivalent volume of mass. Which is super interesting. Did you also know that tungsten, they use it for light bulb filaments, or at least they used to before LED light bulbs, because of its incredible like thermal durability. It can become incandescent for such a long amount of time, where other metals would you know, instantly shatter from stress over time. Anyway, sorry. Sometimes my brain just takes me down these rabbit holes of knowledge. Entertaining for me, but not relevant to what's going on. Alright, so this Tiger tank, I mean, the line has pushed forwards. He's secured 2 of the victory points. He holds a fuel point. It's coming together here for Mr. Nobody. My concern now is, well, a Calliope could be backbreaking. And you know what, I would love to see the Calliope. It would be so cool. A Calliope could be backbreaking because it could just start wiping squads, you know? Those barrages are vicious. And there we go, this is the thing. Yeah, this is the real threat. So, as nice as a Calliope would be, the real problem right now for the American player is the Tiger tank, because he was winning until this Tiger tank came out, and now you just need a little bit of something to control this Tiger and make it a bit less efficient. Just make it so that the Tiger can't just have its way. And a Jackson, that's the one. That is the thing that does all those things I just said. So, yeah, Pineapple the Fruit Dude here, making a fine choice. And Jackson with Sherman with double AT gun and rifle grenade infantry with the P-47 strafing run in the pocket. Let's not forget that. That Tiger actually feels a bit fragile now. Like, that Tiger can go from full health to dead in a matter of seconds with these kinds of anti-tank resources flying around in the American roster. So, Mr. Nobody here on thin ice. And, he's going to have to play this one very well. He's also, of course, up against the clock in a big way. 162 tickets now. Oh, Panzer Grenadiers, though, get a nice flank. Get up on top of this AT gun. Nice. Take it out. Okay, that's actually really nice. The MG here is probably going to turn to try and deal with them. Sherman comes in, but hang on, these boys have got Shreks. So that's not going to be enough. Okay, are we feeding in a bit too hard here? That's a 50 cal. Oh, Bundaroo Grenade! Bundle Grenade comes down. Nice. Oh, these Panzer Grenadiers fighting like heroes here. If they can get another volley of Shreks into this Sherman, that would be so nice. Come on, boys, fire straight. Oh my god, too much schnapps in the officers' mess last night. Alright, they're going to fall back. I like that, though. That was a nice poke, dealing a great amount of damage and taking out a really nasty American hardpoint there. At least temporarily. Not inflicting any permanent damage. No units chalked off the roster, but I mean, that's about as good as you can hope for. Ostwind? He's a genius. I like it. So I don't really know how to respond to this Ostwind, really, other than with a massive grin. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Ostwind is going to dovetail really nicely with the Tiger tank. I mean, The Ostwind is hard anti-infantry. The Tiger tank can present hard anti-tank. And, you know, those are the two sides of the coin that you basically need to have covered to succeed in the game. So having an armoured solution on each half of that coin is going to be really nice here. I do like the Ostwind. It's also not incredibly expensive. I believe it's 100 fuel. Is it still 100 fuel for this faction, or is it 90? It is 100 fuel, yeah. So, I mean, 100 fuel, not breaking the bank. If you lose it, it's a great shame. I mean, it's still 100 fuel. It's not nothing, but it's... At this stage in the game, that is not expendable, but it's affordable. And it really helps you deal with the horrendous amounts of American infantry that are being really difficult right now for the Axis player. So I really like what I'm seeing. Here comes the Ostwind. Is that an Ostwind with no camo? Sweet. I love it. Straight out the factory. They didn't have time to paint this one. Arrgh! Just immediately getting hooned down by this Jackson, though. This is the problem. Oh, Tiger comes in. Wastes a shot on the infantry, though. Not set to prioritize vehicles. That's massive. Oh, no. Now the Ostwind comes in. Oh! Rifleman in jeopardy here. Grenade comes down. That's a miss. Incendiary artillery comes down over here. Interesting. I think that was a bit of a miss, actually, to be honest. It is kind of burning this MG. Oh, what? Oh my god, the Tiger there with a vicious quad kill though, but it's an overextending. That is a Tiger on low health. He pops the smoke. Jackson comes forward, tungsten round, taking an attack ground shot. Not going to connect. Tiger escapes for now. Quad Panzerschrecks pushing forward through the flamey charred ground to try and find killing shots on this Jackson. They're just pushing. There's nothing to stop them. Where's the MG facing? The Jackson! The 1919 LMGs show up. This is too much infantry. They're going to take one barrage, and it ain't going to be enough. Fall back now, boys. Fall back. There we go. Oh. Sorry, I'm kind of cheering for Mr. Nobody a little bit because he's sort of been the underdog this whole game, and it is nice to see. You know, he's on 108 tickets. Like, he's up against the wall in so many ways, but he's balancing this game. You know, I don't feel like this has spun out of control at any point, despite at some points in the game him being pushed right back into his base. He's always had a plan. He's always preserved the important units, and you know, he's not bleeding out right now. That's going to be the problem in this game. We often see this when the game goes late between Wehrmacht and US, or just basically Wehrmacht and any like Axis, any Allied faction. Usually in the early and mid game, the Wehrmacht player has fallen way behind on the scoreline, and so it becomes a desperate hold scenario for the Wehrmacht player, who basically just has to stop themselves bleeding out and bring to bear this sort of superior late game Axis armor. Which can be very difficult to answer for the Allied forces. So this is the dynamic we see ourselves in once again. But what a tense scenario. 108 to 422. 27.5 minutes into this game. Both players with absolutely rip-roaring, well-equipped, fully like bombastic, annihilating armies here. Loads of veterancy, all the big guns firing. This is both factions showing their fullest capacity here. Shreks pick off a Sherman. Nice. Now that does open the doors for that Sherman to be replaced by a Calliope, which I think I would like. Yeah! Sherman comes out, but the Jackson actually still within range of the Zooks. The Shreks, but okay, gonna escape. If the Jackson would have died, that one is not expendable. Shermans you can lose. Jacksons, that really hurts. So, okay, Calliope, ahoy. This is cool. Did you bring enough rockets, mate? Did you? Holy spoons, how many rockets are on a Calliope? That's 12 in each lower rack, and I'm just going to guess that's 36 along the top. It looks like about 3 of the 2 lower racks. So, that's 48, that's 60 rockets by the look of it, at least. I don't know how many they really carried, I don't really understand, I don't know. That might be something I might Wikipedia after this, actually. Oh, actually, speaking of Wikipedia, Ostwind here. I did look at the Wikipedia afterwards, and also Slade Tech was kind enough to. Okay, hang on, we got a Calliope barrage coming down here. That is actually finding hits. He gets the mortar half track. Infantry getting gibbed. Can't get much of a better first barrage than that. Beautiful amount of veterancy onto that Calliope. Nice. But as I was just saying, yeah. I did look at the Wikipedia, and so did Slade, who informed me that I was wrong. More than Ostwinds were made. It was like 41 or 42 of them or something. But still not many, and therefore a weird unit to have included in this game, given that they were so scarce. The Ostwind. But, you know, whatever. I'm glad it's in the game. It's nice. It's fun. It has a really distinct audio profile. That gun, you can... There it is. Unmistakable. Dom, dom, dom. And, yeah, going to be taking some shots and shredding some Yanks there. Axis forces pushing deep, grabbing a cutoff here. God damn, Mr. Nobody here just playing out of his mind so well. This Tiger Tank flanking, his multitasking, his awareness, so good. The Shrek squad's pushing again. They find the Jackson, bringing it to within an inch of its life. Again, American forces, a lot of them just sitting in base. Ah, these riflemen, these machine gunners, this captain. Okay, boys, we can go, we can go. Ah, I feel like Pinapple the Fruit Dude getting a little overwhelmed right now, and can you blame him? This is terrifying tactics he's facing. 108 tickets now remaining, but he's under a triple cap, is Pinapple. Arg! Okay, Pinapple, come on, take a deep breath, man. All these units have been idle here for some time. I hate to be the caster with the camera over your base, you know, commenting on how you could have been more efficient, but these units need to be doing stuff. You know, it's like when you cast a high-level game of StarCraft and somebody gets supply capped, and you're like, oh, I really feel for you that this is the game that's being cast, because I know you don't get supply capped very often. And, like, I know, I've seen Pinapple is a good enough of a player that I don't think whoa, we're still idle back here. Okay, finally these units are going to start moving out. I mean, has he just not got them hotkeyed or something? I can't imagine that would be it. Alright. Just going to put my hoodie on here a second. Okay. It's gonna be a Panzerwerfer! Haha, this game has everything! Nice! Alright, Axis Blob. It's rare you get to say that. Pushing forward. Oswin here, providing cover. The captain, forced back. Calliope, taking additional barrages. Probably going to be used around here, but it looks like the majority of the Axis forces already passed this area, so that's going to be a miss, assuming these Axis forces don't have to fall back through the barrage. But they ain't gonna, so that's real nice. These Axis forces, though, all horribly suppressed. Grenade comes down! Wow, that was actually kind of a miss. Is that a Pinapple? Have we got Pinapples researched? I think it was. Yeah, Pinapple's nice. I love it when American players go for Pinapples. It seems like it's something that they don't always, but they just feel so good. That's the Panzerwerfer! Where are those rockets coming in? They find the AT gun and the MG. Pretty bad rocket spread, though, to be honest. Actually, it was basically doing nothing despite being on target. Bit unlucky there for Mr. Nobody, but these things happen. And if he keeps that Panzerwerfer alive, he'll get another bite at that apple. See, this is just awkward. These forces could be grabbing fuel. I feel like Pinapple was just being really, really, possibly even fatigued. I mean, unless you're a sort of pro player who is playing a significant amount of time, stamina is actually not something RTS players tend to build up, but it's a very real thing. You know, maintaining this amount of focus, attention, and just raw APM, and then behind that, being able to keep a bigger eye or have a, you know, maintain some brain space for tactics and strategies, and just have a big picture of what's going on the battlefield. Like, basically not getting too zoned in on microing squads and just seeing what you can see. Actually thinking, what's my position in this game? What do I need to do? What does winning look like from where I am now? Like, that's very taxing for just the human brain generally. And unless you are genuinely working on your stamina, I mean, Company of Heroes 2 games run long. These two players have been at this for over half an hour now. It is not impossible, and this might not even be the first game that Pinapple's played today. By the look of how hot he is, I would say this is definitely not the first game Pinapple has played today. Yeah, stamina is a real thing, and it is very possible that what we're seeing here is Pinapple actually getting a bit fatigued, because we're just seeing a lot of allied units. Okay, these ones are not being idle in a way that's bad, but they were earlier, and we've seen a couple of units just kind of not quite behaving as optimally as they could. And those, to me, looks like signs of fatigue. I could be wrong. There might be some reason that I've missed for him doing those things. This often happens when I'm casting. I make out like something's the case, and then somebody in the comments is just like, oh, Magpie, you're wrong. So, yeah. That's another Panzerwerfer barrage. Arg, arg, arg! Finds the AT gun. Okay, that's nice. He actually killed the AT gun, so that is material losses there. That is a real squad wipe. So, nice. I like what I'm seeing. Cause some damage onto the... Jackson is also facing the wrong way. This is what I mean. Just signs of fatigue here. Mortar squad now exposed. Quad Shrek squad. These Panzer Grenadiers have just been epic. Calliope takes a point-blank barrage. The Panzer Grenadiers get out of the way. The Tiger Tank can just take it, or at least so Mr. Nobody says. The ambulance gets picked off. Panzer Grenadiers rampaging through. The American army kind of in disarray. Look at the army in the top left. Look at the army in the top right. This is not over But Mr. Nobody has gone from being the massive dog in this scenario to actually having, I would say, definitely, I reckon he's got, like, the better odds to win. Like, he has the better position in this game now. There can be no doubt. I mean, it ain't over, like I said. There's a lot still to be played, but, I mean, he's hitting the American player where it hurts now. He has weathered the barrage and is now pressing his own advantage. And it's nice to see. This has just been a smooth game from Mr. Nobody. Smooth. He clearly has a very high-resolution understanding of what Wehrmacht victories look like and how to respond in any given situation to follow that plan. And it is actually kind of, I don't want to be like too, like, I don't know, sound too deep or anything, but it is a pleasure to watch. It always is. Anytime I cast, it's a pleasure to watch people try and play this game because it's so damn difficult and it's just amazing to watch. I mean, it's super entertaining and I love it. But in this particular example, I do feel a little bit spoiled. Mr. Nobody putting together a Wehrmacht showcase. And I actually feel like the Wehrmacht players who are very good with the faction, that's the style. You know what I mean? They just feel smooth. They feel slick. They feel, I don't know, there's something about the way good Wehrmacht players operate. They just feel like they are never caught unaware of what their position in the game is, but the Calliope comes in. Oh my god! And just like that, the tables turn. That was a load of value. Oh my god! That was so much value. 6 stars of veterancy, 2 squads of Panzer Grenadiers, 4 Panzer Shreks, and the substantial portion of the Axis players' anti-tank in this game. But look at this, Mr. Nobody doesn't miss a beat. He had Panther money in his pocket, so he's going to actually just replace those anti-tank resources with a Panther tank, which is probably honestly scarier. Just when I thought Pinepple might be getting back into this. Oh my god, there's an MG42 covering this VP. Sorry boys, you ain't going to get anything here. Just when it looked like the American player strikes a blow for justice and glory and freedom and liberty, the fascist war machine adapts and responds. And is going to be spewing out a very scary medium tank here momentarily. Jackson here, of course, a little bit unawares. This Ostwind, though, also sort of overextending. Tiger Tank decides that it fancies its chances coming in for a spit roast. Gun gets destroyed on the Jackson. That is significant. This Ostwind now with 2 stars of veterancy. Remember, that's the most crucial point of veterancy for it to get. Sherman Tank actually going to be the choice here. I don't know about that, to be honest. What's a Sherman going to be providing here? I don't know. I'm not convinced it's bad either, though. That's the Panzerwerfer. That has to be firing here. No? Yep, okay. Okay, bit of a guess barrage there. Going to take some shots into Fog of War. On this occasion, no American units there. A little bit of a speculative barrage, that. But that's probably acceptable. Oh! Arrgh! Arrgh! He loses a Grenadier squad. Okay! I mean, as we've seen very often, in the late game, when manpower incomes are low, losing core infantry, or indeed pretty much any infantry, is critical. And we've now seen 3 squads of infantry chipped off of the Axis roster, just off of this Calliope. So, you know, if there's a way back in this game for Pinepple, it might be getting infantry squad wipes. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, this MG42 weak. Okay, so this is what the Sherman can do, actually, yeah. So the Sherman can push around the flanks and dislodge these troublesome MG42s, which does open up victory points for the American player to capture. And remember, this game is all about the victory points. The American player actually now trailing in the scoreline. Wow. Anyway, Panther Tank's going to come through here to police the Sherman. Ostwind's going to be in support to keep the infantry off. Anti-tank rifle grenade is going to bust that. Panzer Tack comes down. Look how good Panzer Tack is. There's going to be an attack round coming through here. Wow, bounces off the Panther armor, I think. Ostwind going to push forwards here. Okay, so, it turns out the Ostwinds can... Whoa, Tiger as well going to weigh into this fight. Turns out the Ostwinds can kind of bully Jacksons a bit and fluster them. This is not a tactic I've seen used very often, but it's really quite good, isn't it? If you get Ostwinds, like, close up on a Jackson, then... I mean, either the Jackson essentially has to waste shots at a vehicle which has very little anti-vehicle relevance. So, that's kind of awkward for the Jackson, because you really want to be shooting the vehicles which can kill vehicles with the Jackson. Yeah, or if you ignore the Ostwind, then it kind of gets to like fluster and damage your damage your Jackson. Oh no, this is dead Sherman. Wow. Nice hunting here from the Panther. Wow, he's going to take a moving shot. Okay, risky, but he gets it.
A medium tank was just lost.
And I think this might be irretrievable now. Yeah, I think this is irretrievable. Wow. Mr. Nobody. Yeah, this is utterly irretrievable. He's just going to throw the Panther in to get rid of the Jackson because it's like the only credible threat in the American roster now. Amazing. And the Panzerwerfer is ready for another barrage. That's actually creeping forwards right now. Here it is. So we're going to see another Panzerwerfer barrage here momentarily. Oh, okay. I was just trying to change the camera to capture the Panzerwerfer barrage. But Pinepple has seen enough. He knows that this game has slipped through his fingers. Wow. I mean, Mr. Nobody there just putting together a cracking display of cool-headed, smooth operating Wehrmacht efficiency in the face of a really good American player. I mean, I think it's safe to say Pinepple made all of the right calls in the early and early mid-game, putting a lot of pressure onto Mr. Nobody and leveraging the advantages of the American forces against the Wehrmacht forces in all the proper ways. Opting not to go for a Stuart, which on this map is I'm not going to... I mean, it's too much to say it's a right or wrong decision, but I'm just going to say it's an interesting choice. I think that this is a really good map for Stuarts. But you know what, actually, I think a lot of the utility of that Stuart, yes, I'd forgotten, a lot of the utility of the Stuart was served by that M5 half-track, actually. That was the mobile infantry massacring machine on this in this game plan, and that is actually a lot cheaper than a Stuart, so, okay, yeah, okay, no, I think going Stuartless, when you factor in the M5, absolutely fine. I think the early composition of Rifleman, Captain, Lieutenant, with assorted toys from the weapon racks, was so strong, but it was so well managed and controlled by the double MG42 of Mr. Nobody, the importance of which was highlighted by the fact that Mr. Nobody, without hesitation, replaced the MG42 that Pinepple was able to steal, and like that really shows you exactly how much value the Wehrmacht player places on having double MG42 to do well against US on this map. I think that's a real take-home message for anyone who's learning or playing Wehrmacht. If the map is quite small and brutal like this, or even if it's not, but especially if it is, double MG42 against US forces, probably against Soviet forces, but Soviets have a much wider sort of repertoire of plays, so you have to sort of look at what the Soviet player is doing and respond. Whereas against US, you know it's going to be hardcore, badass, pretty damn scary infantry, and to that extent you do need the double MG42 to deal with them. So that was like 720 manpower in the relatively early or early mid stages of this game that Mr. Nobody was obliged to spend on MG42s, but that was a worthy investment. They absolutely paid off. Yeah, this game would just not have looked the same. The mortar tube for the American player is coming through with 3 stars of veterancy, 8 kills, probably inflicting a ton of damage. 8 kills does seem low, but that is a lot of damage, so always good to check in with these indirect fire units at the end of a game when they've been firing consistently. I think 8 is unlucky, though. I think that represents like under the odds of what that unit ought to have been getting. It is hard to tell for sure. In fact, you know what we can do? Is there anything else? I'm going to take us to the stat screen in a second and just see how much damage that unit did as well, because I'm curious. The Calliope, well, let's analyze the performance of that Calliope. It was fine. 2 stars of veterancy. I mean, he's using it as an indirect fire unit only. I mean, effectively, this was microed in the same way you'd micro a Katusha or a Panzerwerfer, coming forward to take barrages and otherwise staying out of the fight. Now, I was under the impression that part of the advantage of the Calliope is that it is more durable than those other units, and it does have, you know, a Sherman gun, not the same Sherman gun, I appreciate, that's on all the other Shermans, but, you know, it's got some tools here to contribute damage to fights, certainly against infantry. So I guess I'm surprised I didn't see the Calliope being used more there. Pinepple has a lot more knowledge about the game and specifically this unit than I do, so I would imagine that this is the correct way to use it and that it is actually quite a limp biscuit in a fight. Like, it's going to be really awful. Yeah, so I don't know, I feel like, well, I would have liked to have seen it in a fight. Let's put it that way. 115 fuel. Okay. What's the description say? Interesting. Okay. Beyond that, okay, so the Jackson was great, and the Jackson was, like, helped stabilize against the Tiger significantly. I think I'm going to go ahead and say, would double Jackson have been overkill? I don't think so, because what won this game at the most basic level, the essentials of what brought this victory to Mr. Nobody, what closed the game, the advantage he was able to obtain that was insurmountable was, as it usually is, the Axis armor. Like, this Tiger came onto a battlefield where the Axis player was pushed right back to, like, here, and immediately the battle line started moving back towards the American base. Immediately, Mr. Nobody started stabilizing. And, you know, this Tiger went on to 55 kills and 3 stars of veterancy and just do all the things that a good Tiger does. And so, with that in mind, I mean, one Jackson was helping significantly, and he did have 2 AT guns, but once those AT guns were lost, I think bringing in another Jackson is just fine and probably really good. So that's my feeling about that. I mean, the Sherman, I didn't really understand the fuel spending there, and certainly there was enough fuel to get a second Jackson. So I think, I mean, I always find myself recommending tank destroyers, sounding like a bit of a broken record, but I think I would have liked to have seen a second Jackson there. Feel free to share with me your thoughts. I could be way off on that call, but that's just sort of my gut feeling, I guess. Let's have a look at the stats here. I'm keen to see how much damage the mortar half-track inflicted as well. There were a couple... I mean, the mortar half-track inflicted some damage beyond just killing dudes and inflicting damage, didn't it? Because the incendiary round was used, which caused some machine guns to have to give up valuable positions at key moments. So the value of that won't be represented in these numbers we're about to look at. So, all right, let's take a look at units. So, okay, the mortar half-track. Okay, yeah, so 2,309 damage is not too bad at all. As you can see, quite a high efficiency there. So, how do I change to see... I want to see the American units. How do you do that? Can I see the American units, please? How do I tell it then? I never come and look at the stats, or at least I do, but I don't normally put it on the cast, and I never normally like pay too much attention to it because I think numbers just in isolation are pretty misleading. Can I, if I just, boop, now can I see the units for the American player? Oh, do you just not get to see them? Ah, here we go. Lovely. So let's have a look and see how good that mortar was. Yeah, that's respectable damage, reasonable efficiency. I thought so. Yeah, because a lot of time mortar hits will hit a squad and the squad will not lose any men, but it will take off like a quarter or a third of the health or something. And then as soon as that squad comes under fire, models start dying and you really have to think about start falling it back. So that's really the value of mortars. Or it's another way in which they can be valuable, let's put it that way. So yeah, okay, cool. All right, well, there we go. That will conclude this video. What a great battle to have tuned in for. Loved it. Looking forward to uploading this one. Thank you guys for watching. And this for now, Magpie842 signing out.